Imagine like a glowing neon sign,
Okay.
and it just says Research Redefined.
I can picture it.
Right, and it's sitting right next to one of those quirky, pixelated, no internet connection dinosaurs.
Oh, the Google Chrome dinosaur, yeah.
Exactly. That visual mashup, I mean, it perfectly captures the core of today's deep dive.
It really does.
Because, instead of trying to ban AI in the classroom,
We're just unplugging the router in a total panic.
right, today's source actually argues that we should be, well, essentially forcing students to use it. So, welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we are tearing into issue 52 of the Transformations newsletter.
Yeah, the one published in March 2026.
Right, by the Jeffco Ed Tech Department. And their stated mission for this issue, it is guaranteed to make a lot of people do a double take.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a massive pivot from the prevailing narrative right now.
For sure.
Because so much of the global conversation around education technology is like purely defensive. It's all about how do we lock down the browsers?
Yeah. Or how do we catch students using ChatGPT to just write their essays for them?
Exactly. Building bigger and better plagiarism detectors. But this newsletter from Jeffco, they're proposing something entirely different.
Which is wild.
They are arguing that educators should actively deploy Google's AI, specifically Gemini,
Right.
to actually build and enhance student research skills. The goal isn't to help them cheat. It's to help them research with a level of depth that just, well, it wasn't possible before.
Okay, let's unpack this, because getting over that initial conceptual hurdle is just huge.
It is.
Telling a teacher to give their students an AI to help them research sounds a bit like, I don't know, telling a dietitian to hand out candy to encourage healthy eating.
Right.
It just feels entirely backward.
I completely understand why it feels backwards. But, to really understand the logic here, we first have to take a super unvarnished look at the current state of student research.
Okay, let's do it.
The newsletter points out a fundamental flaw in the traditional model, the one we've relied on since. Like, the internet became ubiquitous in schools. Right now, when a teacher assigns a standard research project, they are inadvertently asking a student to do 3 completely different, highly complex jobs simultaneously.
Which is a lot.
It's way too much. They're asking them to be a librarian, a curator, and a reader all at once.
Let me try to put this into perspective, because thinking about the sheer brain power required for that is just exhausting.
No, totally.
Imagine you're a middle school student, right? And your assignment is to learn about the water cycle.
Okay.
Traditionally, we tell that student to just, go look it up on the internet.
Right, just Google it.
But the open internet is essentially this massive, pitch black, completely unorganized warehouse. And it contains billions of books.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
We just dropped this kid in the middle of the warehouse without a map. They have to wander the aisles, which basically translates to typing incredibly broad keywords into Google.
And hoping for the best.
Exactly. Then they have to sift through millions of SEO-optimized links, dodge all those targeted advertisements, the pop-ups, and filter out irrelevant articles that are, written for postgraduates.
Right.
So by the time they finally locate the right shelf, meaning they've found a reliable, readable source, their working memory batteries at 1%.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. I mean, you are describing the exact mechanics of cognitive overload.
Yeah.
When the cognitive load of simply locating and then verifying the readability of the information is that intensely high, the student's actual capacity for synthesizing and analyzing the material drops to near zero.
Because they're just wiped out.
Exactly. They are exhausted before the actual learning even begins. So what do?
They just copy and paste.
They skim, they copy, and they paste. This is exactly the dynamic that Jeffco EdTech is trying to change by bringing Gemini into the fold.
Okay.
The newsletter suggests a pretty radical delegation of duties. They say, let the AI be the librarian.
So we essentially send the robot into the pitch black warehouse to fetch the books.
Precisely. If we shift that heavy mechanical burden of curation to the AI, we immediately free up the student's cognitive battery.
Wow, yeah.
They're no longer bogged down by the frustrating mechanics of the search engine.
Right.
By taking the role of the librarian off their plate, we move them into a space where they can actually focus on the high-level academic work.
They actually have the energy for it.
Yes. They're freed up to synthesize the information, think critically about the text in front of them, and develop robust digital literacy skills. They finally get to just be the reader and the thinker.
Okay, I see the logic. I really do.
Yeah.
But I have a major sticking point here.
Lay it on me.
If the AI is acting as the ultimate librarian, right? Doing all the gathering and sorting in literal seconds.
Yeah.
How does a teacher ensure the AI doesn't just, well, do the assignment? Like, if Gemini is smart enough to find the perfect sources on the water cycle, it's definitely smart enough to just write the 5-paragraph essay and hand the student the finished product.
Sure is.
So how do we stop the AI from doing the thinking for them?
Well, that is the exact trap of using raw, unfiltered AI, and the newsletter addresses it head on.
Okay, good.
The solution isn't to just turn students loose on the public, open-ended version of Gemini.
Right.
The entire strategy hinges on utilizing a highly specific feature within the Gemini ecosystem, and they're called gems.
Gems. Okay, let's really break down the technology here, because this seems to be the linchpin of the whole approach.
It absolutely is.
According to the source, gems are AI-powered assistants living inside of Gemini. And they can be customized to act as an expert in a certain topic or, to perform a very specific task.
Right.
And I really want to speak directly to you, the educator listening right now. If there is one crucial takeaway, like one specific thing you absolutely must try after listening to this deep dive, it is this.
Listen up.
Go and build a custom gem tailored specifically to your own content area. Because you have total control over this tool.
Total control.
You get to explicitly tell the gem exactly how you want it to behave,
Yeah.
what tone of voice it should use, what specific types of sources it's allowed to pull from,
Yeah.
and crucially, what it is absolutely forbidden to do, like, writing an essay on behalf of a student.
The newsletter actually uses a brilliant metaphor to conceptualize this level of control. They describe a customized gem as a walled garden for student research.
Walled garden. Oh, wait, I have to challenge that a bit.
Okay.
If a teacher builds a walled garden and strictly controls all the AI's boundaries, aren't we just teaching kids to research inside an artificial echo chamber?
I hear that.
Like, how does keeping them inside a pristine, teacher-approved bubble prepare them for the chaos of the actual open internet?
That is a very fair critique, but think of it as necessary scaffolding.
Yeah.
You wouldn't teach a 15-year-old how to drive by immediately merging them onto a 10-lane highway during rush hour.
No, definitely not.
Right. You start them in an empty parking lot.
Yeah.
The open internet is the 10-lane highway. It's vast, it's full of misinformation, bias, and a million distractions.
It's terrifying, honestly.
It is. So when a teacher creates a custom gem, they are building that safe parking lot. The students aren't roaming the Wild West. They're practicing their research skills safely within the boundaries, rules, and perspectives that were specifically coded by their teacher. Once they master the skills in the garden, then they are far better equipped to navigate the wilderness.
Okay, the parking lot analogy helps it make a lot more sense. And the Jeffco newsletter actually provides some fantastic gem recipes to help teachers construct these walled gardens.
Yeah, they're super practical.
They aren't just giving vague advice, they're handing out blueprints. Like, one of them is called the Global Perspective Taker.
That's a great one.
So, picture a high school social studies teacher. They could program a gem with a prompt that says, "You are a historical research assistant. Whenever a student asks you about a historical event, you must provide 3 short summaries of that event from 3 different countries' perspectives."
I love that.
Right. And it adds, "You may not provide any analysis of your own. You must only provide the summaries and ask the student to compare them."
That is just an incredibly powerful pedagogical tool. The AI isn't doing the work.
No.
It's setting the table for the student to do the heavy lifting of comparison. Another recipe they highlight is the phenomenon explainer, which is tailor-made for a science classroom.
Oh, how does that one work?
So a science teacher could program a gem to act purely as a Socratic tutor.
Okay.
The instructions could dictate never, under any circumstances, give the student the direct answer to their scientific question.
Nice.
Instead, provide a small hint and ask them a follow-up question. Guide them to discover the scientific phenomenon themselves.
They also list concepts like the Future Pathfinder for career research and the News Navigator.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of customization is staggering. You could build a News Navigator gem and command it to only pull information from certified peer-reviewed journals.
Right.
Or, conversely, you could program it to purposely pull highly biased articles so the students have to practice identifying media bias.
Exactly.
By customizing the gem, you are essentially cloning your own pedagogical brain and creating a specialized interactive tutor for every single student in your room.
It truly is a paradigm shift in how we view classroom resources.
Yeah.
But, as with any powerful tool, it introduces a completely new set of challenges.
Of course.
Even when a student is working inside a beautifully designed, teacher-controlled walled garden, human nature remains human nature.
Oh, yeah.
The temptation to take the path of least resistance is always going to be there.
Which brings us to the massive elephant in the room.
There we go.
I know exactly what people are thinking. And the Jeffco newsletter actually calls this out directly. Won't students just figure out a way to copy and paste the GEM's output?
Naturally.
Or even worse, won't they just blindly believe whatever the AI spits out at them? Because we know that even a perfectly prompted AI can hallucinate.
Oh, absolutely.
They can make up facts, invent historical dates, or just generate fake links. If the AI is the librarian, what happens when the librarian lies?
It's a critical vulnerability, and the Jeffco Ed Tech Department, they don't shy away from it.
Good.
To combat this, they introduce a very specific, actionable framework that they call the Trust But Verify Protocol.
Trust but verify. I mean,
Yeah.
It sounds like a Cold War nuclear disarmament strategy, but we are applying it to 7th graders using Chromebooks.
I mean, it's highly appropriate for the context,
Mhm.
and the protocol isn't just like a lecture you give at the start of the year.
Okay.
It is a set of mechanical steps physically integrated into the research workflow.
Got it.
The entire goal is to deliberately slow the student down and minimize the risk of blind trust. So the first pillar of this protocol is the verification checklist.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics of that. What does a verification checklist actually look like in practice?
Sure.
Because if it's just a box in the bottom of a page that says, "Did you check the facts?"
Hmm.
Like, no middle schooler is going to take that seriously.
Right, right. It goes much deeper than a simple checkbox. It is a systematic process that explicitly teaches students how to audit the AI's output.
Okay.
Under this protocol, students are taught that they are absolutely not allowed to read a claim made by the GEM and just accept it as a foundational truth. Instead, the checklist requires them to isolate specific factual claims the AI makes, open a new tab, and find an external primary source that corroborates that exact claim.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have to document where the AI got it right, and more importantly, where it got it wrong.
Imagine the engagement there. Picture a 7th grader who is running through this checklist, and they suddenly realize the AI completely hallucinated the date of a major historical battle.
Right.
Think about the absolute thrill a 12-year-old gets from catching a computer in a lie and actually being able to prove it.
Oh, they would love it.
The checklist effectively turns them from passive consumers of an AI text generator into active, skeptical investigators.
What's fascinating here is how this protocol fundamentally shifts the core academic task of the student.
How so?
Well, in the traditional model we discussed earlier, the student's primary task was finding the answer. That was the hard part.
Right.
Once they finally found the right web page, the job was mostly over. They jotted it down and moved on.
Yeah.
But in this new Gemini-driven model, the AI finds the answer instantly. So the student's task completely transforms. Their job is no longer finding the answer. Their job is now auditing the answer.
Auditing the answer. I really love that phrasing. And that transitions perfectly into the second pillar of their solution, which the newsletter calls the note catcher workflow.
Yes.
The source explicitly states that requiring students to use a note catcher while researching in Gemini is the key to preventing copying and plagiarism. It is.
But again, how does that actually work mechanically? Like, if the text is right there on the screen, what's stopping a kid from just highlighting it, hitting Command-C, and hitting Command-V into their final Google Doc?
It's all about creating an environment where simple copy-pasting just doesn't fulfill the assignment requirements.
Okay.
A well-designed note catcher workflow, physically or digitally, separates the AI's output from the student's final product.
Gotcha.
For example, a teacher might design a digital matrix where column A is what the GEM claimed, column B is the primary source I found to verify or debunk this claim, and column C is my synthesis of the truth in my own words.
So it acts as an intellectual speed bump.
Exactly.
You can't just bypass the learning process with keyboard shortcuts. The note catcher forces the raw information to physically pass through the student's brain rather than just passing through their computer's clipboard.
Right.
They have to pause, evaluate the AI's output, verify it, and then actively translate it into their own understanding before they are ever allowed to integrate it into their final essay. Exactly. It forces friction back into the learning process. But it's the right kind of friction.
Yeah.
Instead of the frustrating friction of trying to navigate billions of irrelevant Google search results.
A pitch black warehouse.
Right. It is the productive friction of critical analysis and synthesis. But implementing these systems, building the custom gems, designing the note catchers, auditing the outputs, all of this takes time and intentionality from the educators, which brings us to a pretty harsh reality check.
Yeah.
This philosophical shift toward customizable AI isn't happening in a vacuum.
No, it is not.
It is happening amidst incredibly real, tangible pressures within the ed tech ecosystem.
Definitely.
School administration landscapes are changing, and frankly, district budgets are shrinking.
Yeah, we have to look at the hard facts presented in the tool updates section of the newsletter, because it really grounds this whole theoretical conversation in immediate reality.
It does.
Effective Tuesday, June 30th, the district's enterprise subscriptions to WeVideo and Discovery Education are going to be sunset. Yeah, they're being completely removed from the district's toolkit.
And we cannot understate the impact of that. Those are major legacy platforms.
Yeah.
Discovery Education, in particular, is a massive database of highly curated, safe educational content that thousands of teachers have heavily relied on for years.
Right.
When a teacher needed a reliable video or an interactive lesson on the water cycle, they didn't have to send kids to the open internet. They sent them to Discovery Ed.
But now that safety net is just gone.
Yep.
The newsletter is very transparent about the specific reasons for this cut, though. It's primarily due to necessary budget reductions. But the decision was also heavily informed by usage data, changing future availability on those platforms, and extensive stakeholder interviews.
Right.
So it wasn't some arbitrary, out-of-the-blue administrative whim. But the reality on the ground is still the same. The tools are gone.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the sunsetting of these expensive legacy tools makes the entire conversation about Gemini Gems exponentially more urgent.
Oh, totally.
For a long time, districts could afford to buy these massive, pre-packaged, perfectly safe databases for their teachers.
Yeah.
But when those paid tools are cut from the budget, mastering accessible, highly customizable AI tools like building your own walled garden in Gemini is no longer just a fun experimental side project for the tech-savvy early adopters.
Right.
It becomes an absolute, unavoidable necessity for modern educators who are simply trying to provide a safe, curated research environment for their classrooms.
You nailed it. You just can't rely on the district purchasing that perfect database for you anymore.
No.
You have to learn how to prompt an AI to build that database for you on the fly, tailored exactly to Tuesday's lesson plan.
Exactly.
And it's clear from the newsletter that the Jeffco Ed Tech Department, they view this as a collaborative evolution. They aren't just dropping this mandate and walking away. They specifically invite educators to reach out asking for comments, contributions.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And they list a direct email. It's lguyll@ashtoschools.it'll. It proves that this is an active, ongoing community effort. They are all trying to figure out how to survive and thrive in this new landscape together.
It is the definition of a community adapting to a massive, unavoidable paradigm shift.
Yeah.
The ground is moving beneath their feet, and they're choosing to build new bridges rather than just complaining about the earthquake.
So what does this all mean? We started this deep dive by exploring the sheer exhaustion of the old research model. We talked about students wandering aimlessly through the endless dark warehouse of Google searches, acting as terrible librarians, burning out their working memory, and ending up far too tired to actually read or learn anything.
Right. And from there, we examined the proposed solution from the Jeffco newsletter.
Yeah.
Taking back control by building custom walled garden gems, we looked at how giving the teacher total control to program an AI assistant handles the heavy lifting of curation. It keeps the students safe, sets the boundaries, and allows them to focus purely on the academic content.
Right, but only when paired with that crucial trust but verify protocol.
Yes, exactly.
We can't just trust the machine. By forcing students to use rigorous note catchers and detailed verification checklists, teachers are ensuring that students are doing the real work of synthesis and auditing.
Yep.
Rather than just blindly copying and pasting an AI hallucination. It's all about adapting to the incredibly powerful tools we have right in front of us.
Absolutely.
Which is especially critical as those old, expensive legacy tools are being sunset due to budget cuts.
Which raises an important question, one that I think every single educator, administrator, and parent needs to chew on long after they finish listening to this deep dive.
Let's hear it.
If a student's primary academic task is rapidly shifting away from simply locating information
because the AI does that in 2 seconds.
Right, and is moving entirely toward interrogating, auditing, and verifying an AI's curated information.
Yeah.
How does that fundamentally change how we define digital literacy in the world these students will enter after graduation?
Wow. Yeah, that is the ultimate question, isn't it?
I think so.
The definition of being smart on the internet is completely changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer just, can you find the information hidden in the warehouse? It's, can you prove the information handed to you is actually real?
Right.
And do you possess the critical thinking skills to know what to do with it? That is a completely different skill set, designed for a completely different reality.
It really is.
It honestly makes you look at that quirky, pixelated internet outage dinosaur from the newsletter's logo in a whole new light.
Definitely.
The Wi-Fi connection might drop, the old legacy tools might fade away due to budgets, but the human need to critically evaluate the rapidly changing world in front of us,
Yeah.
that is just getting started. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.